on Pod Hub Network. Your city, your podcast.
To the delight of this crowd, McClendon marches down the dugout steps with first base. McCutcheon's throw. The runner breaks to the plate. Here's the throw. Wow. He is out. The Buccos win.
That ball's hit well to left center field. Back toward the track. And that ball is gone.
You are listening to the North Shore 9 podcast. Follow them on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Also, make sure to watch NS9 Live every Thursday on Twitch and help support by becoming a patron. Let's go Bucks!
Yo, yo, yo. Welcome to Starbucks. I'm your host, Anthony DiNardo. With me, Jim Rosati. Jim, as always, it's a beautiful morning. 72 degrees in Pittsburgh right now. The Pirates won. How you doing?
Yeah, gorgeous Wednesday.
Gorgeous. Just gorgeous.
That's kind of hot though for 7 a.m. I feel like if it's like in the 70s at 7 a.m. it's gonna kind of be a muggy day typically.
Yes, I'm with you. I feel like I could be wrong, but I think that the high in Jacksonville yesterday was like 77. So this seems kind of off.
Yeah, but I don't know what the high is gonna be in Pittsburgh, but yeah, that's I don't know what there all is to do on a Wednesday in the fall. Probably not a whole lot, but
apparently not go to baseball games.
Yeah, don't go to. Yeah, there's no one at baseball games. So, what attendance was? What was the announced attendance last night? Did they ever like
8,000 something? So
yeah, there were probably like 800 people there.
Yeah, off by like 8,000.
No, it was ridiculous.
It was pretty bad.
Yeah, but Pirates take game 1 against the Reds. I said about a week ago that we've got 9 games left against the Reds. They went into the game a half game up for the second wild card. And I said, you know what? We're probably not getting the number 1 overall pick, right? It's a little bit too far out of reach right now. Let's just keep the Reds out of the playoffs. How do we do that? And last night, 1 game 1, and the Reds are no longer, if the season were to end today, the Reds would be no longer in the playoffs. I
mean, I'm all for it. So they have 9 games against the Pirates. I've seen people out there, which of course, in reality, it makes sense. So with this coming down to the wire here, what team is not better set up than the Reds, who get to play the Pirates 9 times to finish the season?
Yeah.
So, right. Let's do the damn thing. Let's go ahead and crush them. Like how everyone was talking, the Mets fans and people were talking ish on the Pirates, right? Oh, well, the Pirates, the Mets get to keep first place and dominate, blah, blah, blah. And then, the Mets lose the series. Let's do that for Cincinnati. Yeah, and again, like you mentioned last week, and I did too, like it's one thing that, you get to play spoiler, but who better than someone in the division and it be the Reds?
Yeah, no, I love it. I had softball last night, so there were a few buddies of mine who were Reds fans, and before the game, I was like, "You guys ready to get swept this week?" and they were like, "Oh, we're playing so bad," which they are. I think they've lost like 7 consecutive series, and somehow, because the Padres are reeling. They were still in the playoff spot. No, I was like, hey, you gotta face our ace tonight, Dylan Peters. and Dylan Peters came through with the 5 scoreless innings. So
He did. To I guess touch up on stuff we talked about last week, right? We talked about how the Pirates get to play spoiler, especially to the Reds, so that's gonna be fun. But like the other thing that we really talked and touched on as well, was Dylan Peters. He's the guy that I wanted to see the rest of the year. And you all made fun of me, y'all laughed, and I still, it's not as if I'm excited. It's not as if like, oh, Dylan Peters is this, this diamond that the Pirates found, and it's chill. Everyone chill. But I am interested to see if he could potentially show enough to maybe warrant him staying on the 40-man and potentially looking to see if it's a rotation spot next year. And he does nothing but show last night that who cares about this potent Reds lineup? Who cares Nick Castellanos and all that? I'm going to shut you down. 5 innings, 5 hits, 1 walk, 5 strikeouts. I mean, he's looked good.
Yeah, I mean, he's been the Pirates' best pitcher since he was acquired. He's now at a 2.66 earned run average in his 5 starts. Can't really ask for anything more than that out of a 29-year-old waiver wire pickup at the end of the year. I'm still very, very, very cautious to even say he should be on the team next year, right? But I mean, geez.
But this is why I wanted to see.
He's been good. Yeah.
I'm absolutely with you. I mean, I don't trust Dylan Peters. I don't trust this stuff from Dylan Peters one bit. But if this is why I want to see, because if you give me more starts and more sample size, and you start leading me to believe that maybe there is more there, then I'm semi-intrigued into this offseason to see what happens. I mean, they could essentially just not keep him, and I'm going to be okay with it probably. But again, things that always intrigue me is like fundamental changes, right? It's not just like, he showed up and he's playing better now. Like the Yoshi thing is a little bit, he's intriguing, but it's also like a little bit worrisome because it's like he's just now playing, and why? I'm still not sure. But like with Dylan Peters, we kind of know why. Like he's done something differently. He's utilizing that changeup a lot more. I mean, and actually, again, he doesn't use it much, but that curveball does look. When he does use that curveball, and he threw it one time last night, it just looked filthy. And he's got a lot of spin on it. But anyways, I'm just saying, like, he has fundamentally changed. He's using his changeup more. It's like exclusively. Guys can't hit it. Like you mentioned before, I mean, when people realize he's doing that, how's Lee going to catch up? Hopefully we start to see that sooner than later so we can understand if that's all it is smoke and mirrors, or he's got this really filthy changeup and he's got some good stuff. And we know he's got good control, and we can see what happens. I don't know. That's why I'm more intrigued. That's why I'm interested. And last night, he's done nothing but add to it.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said. The curveball's nasty. I mean, he actually hasn't given up a hit on the curveball all year. Tons of spin on it, like you mentioned. It's in the 89th percentile in baseball spin rate on his curveball. So yeah, it's a pretty good curveball. And yes, so he is now thrown. He was before a little bit. He had more changeups thrown than fastballs. It's now an even split. He's thrown the exact same amount of changeups as he has 4-seam fastballs. So we'll see. I mean, again, I'm fine with keep putting him out there and just seeing what he has, and he will definitely, if he keeps this up, then he's earned a 40-man spot throughout the offseason. Because he's somebody you got to make that decision on.
Yeah.
So as of right now, he's a keeper.
It doesn't say a lot.
Things could change. Things could change. I guess he's got the Reds, probably 2 more times the rest of the year. So hopefully he can beat them a couple more times.
There you go. And I do want to make sure we end this too. I don't want to take this construed and people walk away from this podcast and think as if, wow, like Dylan Peters is good. Like, I'm just intrigued. I want to see what he has. This is not, like, none of us are saying Dylan Peters ace. None of us is saying Dylan Peters good. This is just, can Dylan Peters be on the team next year? This is all this is leading to. So don't walk away from this also thinking like, oh my God, Dylan Peters is so good and NS9 is so high on him and everything. It's a wait and see approach. I have zero. I'll put it this way: I had zero faith in Dylan Peters when they acquired him. I thought it was a waste of a deal. Like, why even make it? I don't care. I'd rather have Kyle Crick at that point in time. I felt. But anyways, this is just to see if he's going to be good enough for the team next year. That's it. If he's one of 40 people that are good enough to make the Pittsburgh Pirates, that's the bar. It's not that high.
Yeah, I don't know if we can be any more clear in our like we don't love him. We don't think it's legit, but let him, I guess, show that to us eventually. It's possible that something's changed and he's now competent, but again, that doesn't happen often when pitchers turn 29 years old. But yeah, so far so good. And yeah, I mean, right now, with the way things stack up, he's probably on the team. Like if the season were to end right now, so let's see if he can maintain that status.
Partly of why he's on the team, just to bring up, I guess, as for note, Steven Brault back to the IL. Ooh, football season crept up, Jim.
Football, yeah.
Steven Brault to the IL, 60-day, basically just a transaction. It's not like he's going to be out for 60 days, hopefully, that deep of an injury. But yeah, he's injured again. Just a brutal season for Steven Brault. I think a lot of had high hopes for him coming into this season, just to kind of build off of last season, see what he can do, and really just a lost season entirely for him. So.
Yeah, you feel for him because I mean he seems like he's a pretty nice guy. He worked hard to get back on the mound and back onto the club this season, and I think he made 4 starts somewhere in that area. I mean he wasn't back very long, and yeah, now he is shut down for the year, so no more Steven Brault for the remainder of the season. He actually made 7 starts, and again, he was coming off the injury, but he didn't really look great in those 7 starts either. So now you start thinking, okay, does Brault, come back next year? He probably does, just because this team just needs arms so bad. But yeah, kind of like you mentioned, just an absolutely lost season for Brault. He's going to be 30 next year too. Jeez, where did time go?
Yeah, that trade happened a while ago.
Like, what in the world? He's gonna be 30, and I guess him like Chad Kuhl and Stallings are probably the 3 longest tenured Pirates at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah, I mean, I'd anticipate with the arms that they're gonna need. He won't go anywhere, but yeah, completely lost season, and you would have liked to have seen at least something out of him after his season last year.
Right. That's the thing too. I mean, I think we also made our case very strong on Steve Brault, where he was put like in essentially the best position last year to put up the numbers that he did. But I was at least semi-intrigued to see what he could do this year. That's gone, so it'll be left to next year. And if there is anything, it's probably just let's get what we can out of him, flip him. But yeah, so moving on from him though. So a guy we could talk about Nick Mears, who almost lost that game for the Pirates, Jim. But let's not, because to me, it's not worthy. It's Nick Mears. He's just a guy. Let's get past him. The guy who came in after him, Chasen Shreve. I don't know why I said Shreve, but Chasen Shreve. What are your thoughts on him? Like, this is a guy we really haven't talked about at all this year. This is also a guy who just, like, the results are there. When you look at, like, the numbers, like, he has a 2.77 ERA. Like, he didn't give up anything last night. He's got 48.5 innings. But, like, the peripherals are very, very bad in my sense. But, again, like, the results are there. Yeah. What are we making out of Shreve? Let's talk about him just maybe a little bit on the show.
He's had a good year. I mean, he's a lefty. He's 30 now. He's been in the 31. This isn't like his first rodeo. He's been around. He's played for like 20 different teams in the last 6 years.
Right.
So he's been, and he's had good seasons. He's had bad seasons. This is clear. This is probably his best season from a production standpoint. If you're looking at FIP and things like that, not necessarily the case. I think it's just a matter of like relief pitchers and small sample size, and the peripherals just haven't really caught up to who he is. I mean, yesterday he threw two perfect innings, right?
Yeah.
Didn't strike out a batter, but he got the job done. The thing with Shreve is that, I don't know if we want to talk about him too much, just because he is a free agent at the end of the year.
No.
So he's like one of. You sure about that?
He would have one more year.
So he like misses the service time by like days.
Yeah. I am
Really?
almost 1,000% positive on that.
Interesting. Okay. If that's the case, then yeah, I guess he's somebody who could eventually be in this bullpen. I was under the impression he was a free agent. So okay. I mean, he's been your best lefty all season long. You're probably going to need two of them in the bullpen. And I mean, right now it looks like it's going to be, if he's back, then Sam Howard and Chase and Shreve would be your two lefties.
Sorry, I'm semi trying to look this up too. I'm almost positive that
I mean, because he was at 5 years and 12 days heading into the year.
yes. So and again, it's always comes down. You know who it's coming down to? It's coming down to Ethan. All right. This is coming from Ethan. So yes, no, he won't. Just because baseball, I love the shade Ethan throws out there. Just because Baseball Reference or Fangraph says something doesn't make it so. Keep clapping, Ethan. These sources assume full years of service for arbitration free agency, but Shreve won't get a whole year. He started with 5.008 or 5.012 and will accrue 0.146. So yes, he will not accrue a full year.
Okay.
At most, he will have a total of 5.158 years of service for 2021. You need 6 to reach free agency. So yeah, so Shreve technically would be a Pirate next year if they choose to have him to be a Pirate next year.
Okay. Well, there we go. The answers. Yeah, in order to have a full year of service time, you need to be at 172 days. So if he's at 5 and 158, you said?
Yep, at most.
Yeah.
Days.
So he's 2 weeks. He's 2 weeks away from being a free agent. Okay. Then yeah, I mean, I think he's one of those guys, I think, super volatile reliever, right? It just kind of depends on when you're catching him, because he's had good seasons, he's had bad seasons, he's had okay seasons, but he's left-handed, so that kind of helps him out. As long as he's really mediocre or better, he can kind of fly by. And I mean, he's shown that he's capable of beating being mediocre or better.
He's capable of like this. Okay, so going back to last night when you're on your Shelton kick and saying how like we can't have another year of this. Yeah, we can't have I'm tired of like, well, he's mediocre. Like he could be mediocre. Let's give him some claps.
But like
hopefully
if
Dylan Peters can be a Pirate next year. Let's give him some claps.
If you have a full team of mediocre players, it makes a mediocre team, which is a huge upgrade over what we have right now, Bernardo.
Facts. It's true. It's true. I would just love to be talking about, can he be good once again, opposed to can he be average?
No, I think what you're hoping to get out of him is average. Like that's basically the ceiling. Like you're not like Chasen Shreve isn't going to come in and be this like shut down lefty reliever.
No,
He's not Josh Hader, you know.
no, not
Jason
at all.
Shreve.
Yeah, like that's what. Again, I just want to talk to him because the results are there, you know. And you looked at last night. I mean, he helped out this team. When the Pirates were basically on the verge of imploding again.
That was huge.
You know, you pretty much thought it's over. Pirates were up 6-0 at the time. It's done. It's gone. Right. Chasen Shreve came in and he did his task. 2 innings, no hit. Like it just was a really, really good outing. So, and you look at the results, and it's again, like I'm looking, it's 2.77 ERA. It's like, oddly enough, he is producing, right? He is doing his job theoretically out of the bullpen, and has had a season where he's done that. But he's really gotten no love. We haven't talked about him, but that's kind of the thing. Like when you look at him, there's really nothing sexy about him. It's just the results are there. So good on him. But right, I don't look at him either and look as if like, here's a guy. Not that there's much of a future, but he can stay next year, right? Like also with the results, like I don't think his job's secured by any means either, other than the fact that he is an arm and a lefty.
Yeah. He's one of those. He's a guy who he'll be brought into spring training. He'll be competing for a bullpen spot. And I think as long as he doesn't like implode, he's probably got one, you know, because ideally you want 2 lefties in that bullpen. And it's like, okay, well, there's Tim, and there's Howard, and there's Banda, right? So it's like you got to pick 2 of them.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, to just kind of piggyback on that, the results are there. Yeah, I mean, 2.77 earned run average, but he's striking out less people this year than he ever has. He's walking more people this year than he has since 2017. He's leaving more people on base than he ever has since 2015. So it's just like all of these things are coming together to create a low ERA. That's basically what's happening. Is the left. It looks like it's probably a lot due to that left on base percentage. He's like people are reaching base versus him. But somehow he's dancing around it, and he's making it work, and which is pretty amazing because you know Derek Shelton leaves relief pitchers in so long that you would think at some point he would just like implode one game and give up like 14 runs because Shelton's going to leave him in there for like 18 batters in a 3-1 game, but he hasn't done that yet. So. Yeah, that's good.
To a lesser degree, you know, it's something as we're talking, and I went and pulled up his numbers too. I don't want to make this comparison because I don't think they're comparable at all as overall, but to the degree of what his results are compared to his peripherals and stuff, and how there's a little bit of how are you doing this? Doesn't he have maybe a little bit of Jared Hughes to him? Like every year you look at Jared Hughes. Yeah. And you're just like, the results are there. Okay, so I'm looking at Jared Hughes right now. Like every year as a Pirate, his first like full season, like a 2.85 ERA, 4.78, 196, 228, 303. But then like the FIP, just not good. Like the K, he doesn't strike anyone out. You know, you look every year, look at Jared Hughes, and you're like, how did you do this? But he did it. Little bit maybe of Jared Hughes to Chasen Shreve right now.
Yeah, maybe a good comparison, like from a result standpoint, how they're getting those results a little bit different. I don't think Hughes walked as many batters.
No,
and you know, Hughes also had just absurd ground ball rates, which Shreve also doesn't have. But which lends me to believe
this isn't going to sustain.
This is a smoke screen, right? Like there's you can't consistently walk this many people and not get ground balls and have like sustained success. But again, as a relief pitcher, you have this really cool phenomenon that like you just go out there an inning at a time, right? So like anything can happen in an inning. You can walk somebody and give up a hit and still get out with a 0, right?
Actually, speaking of Hader last night, 1 inning, 3 strikeouts, yet 3 walks, and walked out there scoreless.
There you go. Yeah, so like that can happen as a relief pitcher, and if you string a few of those together, you end up having these good ERA numbers, but is that necessarily a sustainable thing? Probably not. But again, you just don't pitch enough or long enough sometimes that it comes back to bite you.
Yeah.
So you can put up good seasons as a reliever while you're actually not really pitching that well. And so I think that's just kind of what we're seeing with Shreve. Right,
and the anomaly to all of this is what you're saying is true, but the anomaly is usually that would happen if you're put in like really good situations and taken out of those situations to lead to good results.
Yeah.
And in this case, he's under Derek Shelton, which, as you love to pound the table on, and we've seen he's usually not putting his relievers in those situations, a la Mears last night. So so I guess this is even more of the anomaly that he's doing this on the 2021 Pirates, led by Derek Shelton. But I guess we can move on. We gave Shreve his flowers. We haven't talked about him like at all this year. Good job, Shreve, but also good luck.
Yeah, but I mean, so it's crazy if you look at like if you mentioned Mears, and we'll talk about. I don't want to talk about Mears too much, but like the strikeouts per 9, the walks per 9, they're pretty much the same, But you have Mears, who when he does it, he gets blown up, right? And then Shreve has been able to avoid that. So that's kind of my example. That's like a perfect example right there. Is as far as like how they are executing pitches, the two have been pretty much identical this year. Mears maybe with a little more of a long ball issue, but like they both are giving up base runners at the same clip, really. But one has a 6.50 ERA and the other has a 2-point-something ERA.
7.7.
2.77. Fair.
Right. Fair enough. As of last night, so let's kick off and pivot this over to Brian Hayes. We talked about him last week. There was a little bit of excitement because he started like the leadoff role. I think when we talked to him, he's like maybe in his second game or such, leading off. Since then, I mean, he's still leading off. The results are okay. So we're talking about like Shreve, like the results, but looking at the body work and how he's getting there, right? So like when you look at Brian Hayes, the results have definitely been there as a leadoff guy. Now, I don't have him up now. Top of my head, I think in the leadoff position, he's batting 350, I think. On base, maybe 380, something like that.
He is out of the leadoff spot, hitting 364 now.
Okay.
389 on base percentage, so he's not walking a whole lot. But 394 slugging. So
when you hit
it all comes out to a 114 weighted runs created plus out of the leadoff spot so far.
Okay, so the results are there in the fact that he's getting hits, because that's been one thing we talked about. Like, why is Brian Hayes struggling, right? And he's a little bit of an anomaly, like why it's happening. But we do know one thing is it's definitely, as you pointed out last week, Jim, he's just hitting the ball into the dirt. He's hitting the ball into the dirt. So I guess that's one thing I want to talk about here too, because the results are there. Like we see he's getting on base. The average is there. Little resurgence from Brian Hayes, but he's still just hitting the ball in the dirt. The launch angle is still the 1.7, which it was exactly a week ago when we talked about this. I think I was talking as 1.9. You looked up and was like, no, actually it dropped to 1.7 now. It's still at 1.7. He's still hitting the ball in the dirt. Like as you saw last night, I mean, sure, he hit it right up the middle. Like he's hitting it where people aren't. It's good. That's why he's getting on base. But I feel like maybe I'm still concerned about Brian Hayes.
Yeah, I mean, so I didn't get to watch the game last night because softball / I'm blacked out of Reds games because Major League Baseball is
Oh,
pretty stupid.
right.
But yeah, so you did mention though that yeah, he's still pounding the ball into the dirt, right? That's kind of that's the issue. Let's see, average launch angle, average exit velocity still looks good. So like nothing's really changed there since he moved to the leadoff spot. His rolling 7-day exit velocity's been the same, and he is an above average hitter when it comes to hitting the ball hard, right? So he hits the ball harder than average.
Yep.
Average launch angle, it's gone up a little bit. I mean, it's actually no longer negative for the last.
Here we are again. We're almost at average.
The last 5, the last like 10 days, he's been at least above 0 when it comes to his 7-day rolling launch angle. So, that's, I guess, better to see. That's the thing. He's just nowhere near where he needs to be with that. You want to see that a little bit higher, but it has been creeping up ever so slightly over his last, really his last like 40 plate appearances or so. So good to see. It's still not where you want to see it, but it's better to see than where it was. Yeah, I don't know. He is getting hits. He's hitting the ball hard. I like the leadoff spot. I like being able to give him, the thing about the leadoff spot that I like is, it gives he comes to the plate more than any other person. And if there's one person on this team who just needs to have at bats, it's Ke'Bryan Hayes. So that's my favorite thing about it.
Yeah, I'll definitely take that. Like, I do like Ke'Bryan, especially you talk about like construction of his lineup and such. There's not much. I mean, I hate Kevin Newman as the number 2 hitter. I absolutely hate that. But the way this team is, I like Ke'Bryan leadoff spot just for the construction of this lineup, but also like you said for Ke'Bryan, yeah, he's going to get the most at bats, and maybe like just mentally it might help him too, being in that leadoff role. He's got to get on base. But overall, yes, this is one thing too. Like I'm great, and this is good. I mean, it could be good for you mentally as well. I mean, you're ending the season. It'd be nice to end on a high note and such. Even though I feel like for him, it's probably a lot less with his mental and maybe just more with the hand, right? Or just mechanics, whatever. But it would be good to see him just end the season on a high note. I do like the results. It's just that the results aren't, to me, there isn't like this fundamental change that's leading to results. It's still much more of what Ke'Bryan has been. Just things are falling more in his way now.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. The good thing about Ke'Bryan Hayes is at least he's hitting the ball hard, right? Mm-hmm. It would be one thing if he like wasn't making good contact like at all. So the fact that he's hitting the ball hard, that is good. Now he just needs to he knows. I feel like we all know what he needs to work on. He needs to work on maybe pulling the ball a little bit more, and he needs to not necessarily like have lift, but he just needs to stop pounding the ball into the ground. Right? That's pretty much it. And I feel like that's something that can be fixed. So yeah, let's give him the ops. Let's see if we can end the season on a high note. So far, it's a good September. This is actually, if I'm looking month by month here, it's his best month of the year so far. So, let's see if we can keep that up. He's batting .364 in September, so that's awesome. So let's keep that up, finish strong, go into the off season with some things to work on. And I mean, Ke'Bryan Hayes strikes me as somebody who's going to work relentlessly to improve himself. He just seems like he's got that work ethic. and hopefully, we can go into 2022 and we can see some changes to that approach and that swing.
Right. Yeah, I'm with you. I by no means am I down on Brian Hayes. Am I, poo-pooing on him and such? There's definitely something that needs to change. But I think he can definitely do it. So, one thing I want to talk about here too. We've said some good things about him, Ben Gamel. Right, it's been quite surprising. I think he's earned himself the role for next year. Like he should be on this club. There's no reason why he really shouldn't. The bats played very nicely. He just seems like a Pirate. Like it's just a good fit in Pittsburgh. I think people, if they show up to the games, really do enjoy him and such. But okay, so like I feel like 3 weeks ago, Ben Gamel had like this stretch of 2 games where he made one super impressive diving catch, and then the next game he made a very impressive catch. And I think that that one he didn't make it, but it was like no one could have. But just the fact that he was there was like so impressive. And it just seems like since then, right? He's got like this little swagger going on him. He feels like he's Kevin Kiermaier, and like literally every game, he's just out there diving for baseballs. And also, again, we talked about those 2 games really good. There's been games afterwards, some amazing. I think there was one this weekend, if not just a few days beforehand, where he made this ridiculously diving catch that no one thought anyone could get, and he did it. But then he makes these diving catches that aren't catches, and they go past them, and they get triples for the team and such. God, I get it. This is a season where there's not much entertainment. Okay. He's at least entertaining me with this, but is it time for Ben Gamel to just pack it away, man? Like you don't got it. You're not that guy.
Yeah, I mean there have been a few times where he's dove for balls and he really did. He had no business diving for them. Like just run to the ball and get it. Like you're not getting it, man. But he has had some like fun moments out there. He's been a terrible outfielder this year. So like as much as like I love Ben Gamel, you mentioned, I mean, everything you said is right. He just kind of like seems like a great fit on this team. Ever since he's arrived, he's hit the ball well. He's done everything you could ask that the guy does. He's a scrappy player who puts it all out there, and it all comes out to being basically an average baseball player. Again, back on the mediocre train, I guess. But he's one of the worst outfielders in baseball when it comes to his jump and his outs above average. He's in the 2nd percentile in outs above average, the 5th percentile in his outfielder jump. So he's definitely not Kevin Kiermaier. Let's get that right.
I have a theory that I want to go deeper into. I want to know what his jump was up until about 3 weeks ago. Now, again, it's just a theory, but the eye test has maybe told me a few times, is this guy slowing down or not moving? So that way it can be a diving catch, because I feel like there's a few of them where he could almost just walked over and caught it, and he kind of hesitated or slowed down and then went full speed so he could dive and catch it. Again, just a theory. But
what was the game? There was a game where, I mean, he missed a catch and it made us lose it. Was that against the Cubs? Maybe
that probably.
Yeah,
and seemed very Cubbish.
And yeah, it was one of those catches where like I don't know if he necessarily had to dive for that, but he did, and he missed it, right, and it ended up costing us the game. So yeah, he's definitely he's been just flying around out there. He did, like I said, he's made a couple cool catches. It's resulted in some nice catches, but yeah, it's also resulted in some triples. So not necessarily the best trade-off. He has a nice sprint speed. He's in the 69th percentile in Major League Baseball in sprint speed. But yeah, he's your typical corner outfielder who just tries really hard. I can't fault the guy for it. I mean, if we were in a pennant race and it was like, Ben Gamel, you need to stop diving so we can win some games, like give up a single instead of a triple, then it would be one thing, but let the guy fly around and have fun for all I care.
Yeah, we have some comments from Captain Jack says, I think Ben Gamel could do the milk crate challenge. He would just dive over it. And that's probably accurate. Yeah. He would just dive over the entire thing, finish, done, complete. I mean, he's fun. He's definitely adding entertainment. But in a real life baseball perspective, I think you put it greatly. If this wasn't the 2021 Pirates, right? If this was like the 2025 Pirates, when things got to go well, this would be a much different tone. It would be probably get Ben Gamel the hell out of there because this is ridiculous. He's got to stop this. But also, I think what this does is, again, just to kind of pivot this in a sense of this is why you appreciate like Ke'Bryan Hayes. This is why, like the numbers sometimes you have to look at these type of numbers. Like you have to look at outside of average. You have to look at jump. You have to look at the metrics defensively because the eye test tells you Ke'Bryan Hayes is good, but is he that good? Like he just makes everything look easy. Like look at Ben Gamel. He's out there diving for these baseballs. He's got to be a great defender. Look what he's doing. No, he's just that bad of a defender that everything like he has to dive and make that catch look incredible. Whereas like Starling Marte, he would have just caught it.
There you go with your Starling Marte kick again.
Yes, get him back. 2022 Pirates. But no, in all seriousness, like I was talking about, like Starling Marte was a great defender, and that's the difference. Where Ben Gamel's out there in left field diving right and left, Marte's just sitting under it and then just catching the ball. Ke'Bryan Hayes just gets there and catches the ball, even though it was 120 feet away from him to begin with. But Ben Gamel's diving when it's 30 feet away from him.
God, Starling Marte just moved into 4th in baseball in wins above replacement.
Yeah, I'm aware. With like 50 less games than the leader. Yeah.
Like seriously, if he would have been healthy all year, the dude would be the MVP. You could give him the MVP in both leagues.
I got some people gave me a lot of shit for that when I was talking about that like 3 weeks ago. But he is having that type of season this year. He's literally having an MVP type season.
He really is. Except there's this one guy who can hit 45 home runs and is also an ace. So he kind of beats everybody, but other than that,
if we want to, if we want to pivot this a little bit, I do feel for like Vlad Jr. is having such a great season, and this guy's not going to get MVP. You talk about there's just a guy who can hit 45 home runs. Yeah, his name's Vlad Jr., who also can hit for ridiculous average and drive in runs and do all this and that, and he's not going to get MVP. That's the level show he's on. It's just amazing. We're watching Shohei Ohtani right now. Like, what he's doing is it's uncalled for. It shouldn't happen. This potential Triple Crown winner is not going to get MVP.
Yeah, I mean, Vlad is having an unreal year. Like, I mean, he's not going to get the Triple Crown, but he's going to be like really close to getting it. And yeah, he's been outstanding. And I don't even think you can put together any sort of reasonable argument that he should be MVP. like that's the thing. It's like this guy's just been incredible, and it's like, well, he can't pitch. So that's
and not even pitch
MVP
and not be an average pitcher.
Yeah.
Like he right. He's not even an ace.
It's like, well, yeah, he's hitting 45 home runs. He's going to end up with 50 on the year, but can he pitch? So, no.
Yeah. Ohtani's, my God. Anyways, he doesn't speak English, so he shouldn't be the face of baseball.
Right. Yeah.
Stephen A. Okay, we'll move on. Anything else you want to talk about as far as the major league average players go?
The very average major league team. God, I don't know. Yoshi keeps hitting.
Yes.
I mean, he's like not otherworldly, but he's still been very respectable like the past week or so. Coming up with, he had some nice hits like yesterday.
Mm-hmm. What I think what is impressing with me, okay, is the fact, like you said, like he's hitting its respectable touch. So he hasn't hit a home run since I think 9/5, September 5th. Again, hasn't hit a home run since September 5th. But regardless, like he hasn't hit a home run, but in that time he's batting .350. So like what's impressive about Yoshi is he doesn't so far, right? So far what we're seeing potentially is he hasn't needed to hit the long ball to also be productive. Like the one thing we talked about, like with Mason Martin, like can all this happen? Like we see the power potential, but he has all these other issues to him. And like with Yoshi, he has been effective as far as the hitter. Yes, the ball gets hit hard and goes out of the park, but he's also shown as if like he's just not like this power guy, this one trick pony. He's been getting on base. He's actually hitting for average. What is his Babis? I think a 250 on the season with the Pirates. So it's not as if like he's getting a lot of luck thrown his way and such. In this, he's actually a good hitter. Just overall, just plain out, he has been a good hitter.
Yeah, he's walking too. I mean, not striking out. Yeah, that's what's kind of been crazy because I feel like the strikeouts have always been an issue for him, like making contact, but he's not having any of those problems with the Pirates. He's making contact, hitting the ball over the fence, getting base hits, driving in runs, walking, getting on base. I mean, outside of the very, very, we talk about guys who aren't Kevin Kiermaier. Yoshi Tsutsugo is not Kevin Kiermaier, right?
He wishes he's Manny Ramirez.
just dreadful defense. But the guy's just done nothing but hit since he's come over.
Yes.
So
and as we saw last night, so he's not a good defender. He's not a good base runner. Like he's just a good hitter. Like that's it. Ghost man on first. Yoshi come out of the game.
I mean, he is built to be a DH. Like that is his role. He is a DH. Someone just asked, big question is if Yoshi stays, where on earth do you play him? I think the goal is with the new CBA, the DH comes to the NL and boom, there you go. That's your DH.
I've never been more higher of a proponent of the DH until there's a BY and an AY, like before Yoshi and after Yoshi. Mm-hmm. Before Yoshi, I was like, we could do without it. Now that Yoshi's on the team, like, yeah, let's get the DH because I need to see this guy play a whole season with the Pirates because I'm intrigued. Like, at this point in time, I want him next year. Of course, they would have to re-sign him, but I want Yoshi back as a Pirate. Where would he play? I mean, it doesn't really matter with this type of team because you're not looking at true results. But like theoretically, if there's no DH, I guess just first. Like again, like we talked about, if today, based on what we saw, would you rather have Colin Moran or Yoshi? You said Yoshi. I still agree because of the potential there. To me, he's your first baseman.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think there's a pretty strong chance that the DH comes to the NL. Like I would put it higher than 50-50, right?
Oh, for sure. I think it's a done deal.
You think?
I think
I think it's basically I'd put it like 75-25. Like I think there's still a chance, but that is one thing that I think both sides are fine with. Like that's an agreeable thing both sides can do. So yeah, but yeah, so you get there you go. There's your DH next year.
Yeah, I'm with it. But I'm absolutely intrigued in Yoshi. And again, this is a lot less to me so far from what I see again with the Pirate part, like smoke and mirrors. I mean, he is just flat out hitting, regardless. It's not as if it's not because his walk rate's so high that his production numbers are spiking. It's not because he has the 7 home runs, his numbers are just spiking. Like, it's the whole body of work. He has truly been a hit machine, just a good hitter in this Pirates lineup, which is abysmal. I no complaints. It's just so funny how he's gone from just almost being like a pathetic hitter on the season with the Rays and the Dodgers, and we're talking pathetic, albeit all small sample size. So just boom, comes onto the Pirates and all that's behind him. And he's just been a great hitter. 180 WRC plus, 80% above average, with just the 76 plate appearances. I understand it's just 76, but in those 76, he's been really, really good everywhere. So anyways.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at FanGraphs, WAR totals for the Pirates, Yoshi's been the 6th most valuable Pirates position player this year, and he's only played 25 games.
I'm not even shocked. Like we're so far into the season, everything that's not even shocking. I know you say it for shock value, and it should be, but I'm not.
Yeah, 6th most valuable. He's been more valuable than Colin Moran, Kevin Newman, Wilmer Defoe, all those other guys. Gosh, there's some bad ones on this list. I just clicked the more button to expand the list, and yeah. Do you remember Ildemaro Vargas? He was bad.
Did he? I know it feels like it's been forever ago, but did he even really get any plate appearances? Did he have more than 20 with the Pirates?
He had 13. He went
okay. So it wasn't
13.
Much at all.
He had 1 hit. He had a negative 64
right.
weighted runs created plus.
It's going to be
edges out.
I can't wait till this organization is at the point where we can start going and saying, well, let's have some fun and look back at that 2021 season. Because it's pretty bad.
Jesus, it's bad.
And then we can say
some bad years.
How we just talk about how great Reynolds was for this club, and that was it.
Yeah, there we go. Kind of how we look back on Brian Giles and Jason Bay right now, those good players from those just god awful Pirates teams of the early 2000s. Yeah, that's what maybe that's what this team can be one day.
Right. We have a question here. So it goes, now that the season is coming to an end, what has been your low point? God.
I think the low point has to be the Wilmer Defoe drop pop-up. To be when we were live, the NS9 live, or game day.
I mean, so that stands out. And I think, something as terrible as that, I'm still thinking. I'm I don't know if that tops it. There's probably something else out there.
It was so bad. It was so bad.
Well, that was bad, but think about, you also have Will Craig, that whole debacle.
God,
that was pretty bad. I know Cabrine missing first was on that home run. That was
really
I don't know if that
bad.
was a low point, but that was just I've never seen that before. Holy hell. There's been a lot of that this year. I guess that's a question I would like to reflect on deeper. But Defoe's definitely up there. Will Craig's definitely up there.
Wasn't there was a game against the Braves that didn't they lose 20-1
there you go.
or something?
That's when Defoe came in and pitched. He was throwing that heat.
Yeah. He was throwing 8. He was pumped 86.
Right.
Shelton. And the Braves were taking pitches. The Braves made Defoe throw 45 pitches that game.
That's what wasn't that the particular game, or maybe it was another game where Acuna wanted to bat lefty?
Yes, that was it. Yeah,
that was the one, right?
To bat lefty. The coach wouldn't let him. Yeah, that was it.
So there's
That
another
was-
low point.
That was like Acuna started off the game with a homer, and then he hit another homer. I think the Braves hit like 8 homers that day. That was insane. Yeah,
Yes, that's a loaded question, man. This is a lot to think about.
yeah. If I had to pick, like, if you were like, Jim, what was the worst? I know it was a meaningless game towards the end of the year, but like that Wilmer Difo pop up. I mean, that's basically like the moment from this year where, like, remember when Gregory Polanco fell over in Chicago, like, and then that was it. Game was over. Walk off because Gregory Polanco just like tripped over his feet.
Why is it always Chicago?
I mean, that's what that Wilmer Difo moment was. It was just a routine pop up, and he just he just dropped it. I mean, he was nowhere near the ball. And that was like
he wasn't. That's the best way. There's nowhere near it.
Yeah, like that was that. I think that's it. That was the weirdest way to lose a game that I've seen in a while.
I mean, I guess if you want to put some things in perspective, right? They talk about with Will Craig, like that's fundamentals. That's something you learn in T-ball. Like just touch the bag, right? But I guess theoretically also, if you want to talk, the thing you learn before touching the bag is catching the ball. And that's what Wilmer Difo didn't do. You know, and like you said, it's just such a routine pop-up into the infield. He didn't really have to move much. He was just standing there and looking up and looking up. And like you said, Jim, it wasn't even as if, like, I mean, this ball was nowhere near him. Like, how do you misjudge that bad? So as a fundamental standpoint, I think that is worse than Will Craig. I'll give him that. But I think, like, aesthetically and how the whole thing worked out, I think the Will Craig one warranted the attention it got. Where Defoe's kind of came and went. But anyways, I think what we're definitely getting at is there's a lot of moments that you can choose from, and everyone gets worse and worse and worse.
Well, I mean, with Will Craig too. I mean, the guy had to flee the country. It was so
like, that's so mean. But
he was
so true.
He was basically like, I need to start my life over again because of this mistake. Like, so I guess if you look at it that way, like the dude had to start a brand new life in another country, in a place where, like, if you like, I'm not talking like he moved to like England or Europe or like Australia. Like, he moved to a place where it's a pretty big culture change from, like, he's literally starting a brand new life, and it's all Javi Baez's fault.
The guy who swung at a pitch 3 yards in front of the plate. That's who ended Will Craig's career.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, it's literally like a life altering event.
It was.
So, you know what? I guess if you think of it like that, it's got to be that. That's it. I'm changing my answer. That's
certainly a way of putting it.
I mean,
and when you put it in that perspective, I think that you have to. Wilmer Defoe's still playing. He's still on the team.
Yeah.
He's in the lineup.
Yeah, he's the future in baseball.
Fled the country.
And it's sad.
And semi, you can kind of even say that, like, he fled the country in the middle of a pandemic.
Right.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Let's move on. Let's start wrapping this up. Jesus. Anything just of note? Maybe a lot less of like going to individual players, because it's wrapping up the end of the year and such. In the minors, our farm. Anything you want to talk about of note? Seems like everyone who's doing well is doing well.
Yeah, I mean, this is the last week of regular season baseball outside AAA. AAA is going to play. They extended their season all the way through the Major League season. So, but everybody else ends today. AA will not be in the playoffs. Greensboro, I think, needs one more win. Their magic number is 1 to clinch the postseason. So Greensboro will be in the playoffs. Bradenton has already clinched the playoffs. So we should have both A-ball teams in the postseason, so they'll be extended. One thing that's kind of interesting is Charrington apparently mentioned that with the AAA season being a lot longer than the AA season, we could see some promotions from Altoona to Indy after this week, right? So, so we can have some curve players who will be bumped up to Indianapolis. So I think that's like the one thing to be pretty interested in right now is, okay, if that's the case, who are those players going to be, right? Do we see O'Neal Cruz make the jump to AAA to end the year? Do we see, we already saw Diego Castillo just get called up. Does Roansy Contreras get called up to make a few extra starts at the end of the year? So I think those are the things we want to kind of look at, pay some attention to Altoona, and when their season ends, we should see some people getting bumped up to Indy to extend their season a few more weeks and get some taste of AAA ball.
Yeah. That's the one comment. Like, they're going to get the Nick Gonzalez treatment that you want to give Nick Gonzalez at least, but Nick Gonzalez still won't get the bump. But regardless, like that's right. So that is interesting. Indy gets to, like you mentioned, they're playing all the way through the end of the year. Do you think Cruz gets it?
I mean, I think if you're looking at people who like need some, you just want to give extra playing time to. I think Cruz gets it. I think Cruz gets it. I think Contreras gets it. I think those are two guys who you want to bump up to AAA to get more playing time and to see what they can do at that level. I could even see, someone like Cal Mitchell, Rodolfo Castro, although Castro's really cooled down at Altoona since he was sent back down. So I'm not sure. Maybe they'll do that just because he is on the 40-man and, you maybe want him to keep playing just in case you actually have to call him back up again, right? You don't want somebody just, a potential call up to just not even be playing anywhere. I think we see maybe a handful of guys get called up, and so I think Cruz is a good one. Contreras is a good one, and I mean maybe somebody like Cal Mitchell.
Those make a lot of sense.
Yeah, I think those three have a good shot.
Cool. One player I don't think who has a shot, who it would be a aggressive approach, but just because of the season he's had, Matt Frazier has really cooled down, by the way, too. Just to add some notes here, he's really cooled down in AA. As a matter of fact, since do some numbers here. Since August,
it's still like overall it's still good, but he started off so hot, and he has
since August 25th he's batting 135, so 63 plate appearances. It's been pretty bad. No home runs, 3 doubles, but anyways, still a lot of hope for Frazier, but I don't think he would be one getting called up. Although if he had stayed that way, it would have been nice to see him. I mean, they could take a very aggressive approach with him and get him there in AAA, and that way he's there in AAA next year to start, and maybe a promotion next year. But I doubt he'll get the call.
Yeah, I think if you're gonna call up an outfielder, you're doing it with one of the guys who has been in Altoona all year. So, either Smith and Jigba or Cal Mitchell. Those are probably your two likely call up candidates.
Not Lolo Sanchez.
Not Lolo. You need Lolo. Greensboro needs Lolo for the playoffs.
That's like 3 people on this podcast going to laugh at that, and we're both of them. We're 2 of them. So all right. So I guess with that said, anything else that you want to talk about as far as the minor leagues go to wrap up here, or overall?
I think that's it. That's all I got. Oh, Baseball America Top 100 list got updated.
Oh, yes.
The other day. So we can just touch on that real quick. But O'Neal Cruz with a huge jump. I was a little surprised that he was as high.
Surprised.
I mean, I want to say he was somewhere in like the 40s before. And he's now all the way up to 19. So you got top 20 prospect, O'Neal Cruz. Very, very interesting there. But Cruz came in at number 19. Henry Davis came in at 44. Quinn Priester at 50. Nick Gonzalez at 65. And Liva Peguero at 78. So Peguero, another guy who's made a pretty big jump this year.
Mhm.
You know, I see a lot of people who, you know, they're down on Peguero's offensive year this year, and I think you just need to realize the guy's 20, and he's putting up above average numbers in an advanced league in high A ball. And he's doing it with quite a bit of power too. So like he's doing everything you want to see from him. Because Peguero was not in the top 100 to start the year, and so he's climbed all the way up to 78. So
yeah,
good stuff.
Yeah, definitely good. Just to go back on Cruz, I guess that what really shocked me on that was, I mean, because I do believe Baseball America, like, they dropped him in the mid-year because of course, like, the injuries, you know, he wasn't playing.
Mhm.
I felt like he dropped when they came out with the re-rankings in the mid-year. So to see him now, just with these little bit of plate appearances since coming back, to go up that high does shock me. But, I mean, we see what he can present. So,
Yeah.
Oh, man. A lot of fingers crossed on that kid.
Yeah. I mean, you could say that this is his best offensive year, honestly. I mean, I know like he had a huge 2019, you know, in Bradenton, or I guess that was Greensboro at that time. I don't know. Who knows? That was Bradenton. But he's now doing it in Double-A. He hasn't played the whole year, but he's just been mashing the ball. I mean,
Mhm.
519 slugging percentage. It's the highest slugging percentage he's ever put up over a season. The dude's hitting. Just hopefully he can. Yeah, and the strikeouts too. Like, that was the one concern. It was the strikeouts, and they're the lowest it's ever been in his career.
He's
Everything you wanted to see him do this year, he's done. Other than stay healthy.
right. So you're right. Like, there's a lot of concerns about him as a very boom or bust type of player, which he still can be. He absolutely can be.
Mhm.
But he has trended towards. We're talking about Yoshi. Like, he has trended toward becoming like more of a complete hitter. He really has. It's not as if like he's just an anomaly who's 6'7", who can just potentially put up 50 home runs. The strikeouts are down. You know, the walk rate's still respectable, 7.5%. He's not striking out as much. He's hitting the ball. He's hitting the ball hard. He's driving out of the ballpark, as we see, literally out of the ballpark. So there's a lot of things to like about him. So very excited.
Good stuff.
Good stuff. He will hopefully not be fleeing the country like, well, Greg.
Yeah, let's hope not.
Right. All right, let's get out of here then. We'll see you guys tomorrow after the game again, when the Pirates. Yeah, that'll be the end of the series, right? They'll end this Cincinnati series. So the Pirates will hopefully be on sweep alert again, Jim. Does they can go 0 for 14 on the year in sweeps?
I think they're like 0 for 15 already. I feel
They're
like
0 for 15 now.
I mean, it's been like the last 3 series they've had a chance to sweep. They just keep adding on. I don't know what it's insane. It's one of the most crazy anomalies that I've ever seen in baseball, where like they're literally like 0 and 15. 0 and 15 when they're going for a sweep.
But what's craziest to me, and again, just where I'm coming from, like the 0 and 15 is crazy. But I guess what's crazy to me is the fact that they've had 15 potential sweeps in this year. Like, that to me is what boggles my mind. How the hell were they set up to have 15 sweeps this year? They're not a good team. There's 15 times they could have swept someone.
Yeah. Well, what's crazy, like you said, like there's going to be some series that you win 2 out of 3, right, over the course of a year. But like, I feel like every time they win a series, it's they win game 1, they win game 2, right, and then they lose game 3. Like, they never win games 1 and 3.
Right.
It's always 1 and 2. It's 1 and 2, and then they lose game 3 in like a miserable fashion.
Right.
Yeah, it's nuts. It's pretty incredible, actually.
All right. Well, game 2 tonight against the Reds. Let's do it. So we will see you tomorrow after the Reds game on NS9 Live. Bye-bye.
See you guys.